morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, whatever day it is that you're watching this video, a very warm welcome. I suspect that this is going to be, well, it's a very important subject that we're going to be talking about in this video. So it might be one that you want to bookmark, to come back to. It may very well be that this is a subject that we come back to. But the topic of artificial heart consciousness versus divine heart consciousness is coming into play with this particular full moon in Aries at the end of the week. I'm recording this on Tuesday. It's full moon on the Friday in my part of the world. But yeah, we've got a really big subject to get our teeth into, basically, and hopefully our hearts into. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get going. You weren't imagining things. I did put a video up on YouTube yesterday. It was up for about 10 minutes before about half of you were saying you couldn't hear it. So I removed it because I could see there were some technical issues with it. It was also very fuzzy. The picture wasn't right. So anyway, I'm redoing it. I'm refilming it. Some of what is going to be said in this video is what I said in yesterday's video that the vast majority of you didn't see anyway. But I've also got some new information that I didn't have yesterday morning when I filmed. I'm sure I was always meant to refilm it. So let's just get going. I'm only telling you that because the cards are already pulled, because I pulled them yesterday. So I might do some more shuffling of the deck later on in this video. But for now, let's just bring everybody up to speed with what I feel is one of the most important messages for these times that we're in, which is basically the fight back towards genuine, soul-led, divine, wise, heart-centered consciousness. There is definitely another energy in town, which is the complete opposite of that. It is soulless, it is heartless, and it is linked into an energy of the artificial heart. I'll come to that later in this video. Let me just lead up and tell you a little bit about some of the themes that I also think are important for this full moon in Aries. Okay, first card then that was pulled and came up yesterday was this one. It is the Queen of Wands, called the Queen of Fire in this deck, and it says the sacred inner flame. Feels very Mary Magdalene in terms of the colours. I would describe those colours as ruby or magenta, deep pink. And if you look at the card, you'll see that whoever it is, whether it's Mary Magdalene, I think it's many people, because I think it's actually a depiction of the divine feminine energy. So it could be Mother Earth, it is the divine goddess energy, it's Mary, it's many different representations of the divine feminine, which is in you and in everyone. But it is being birthed through this ring of fire. Now, I do wonder whether this is also highlighting the eclipse energies that we have in October. I'll do a special reading for the eclipses, of course. And I'm not saying that the divine feminine completely arrives as an energy and everything's finished by the end of October, but it does feel as though we will be being asked to jump through various hoops to birth this new energy. Now, rather than seeing these hoops or these rings of fire as something that is there to hurt us, derail us, interfere with our path, start to see that the path ahead, your path of spiritual development, the path of awakening on this planet, has always been a little bit of an obstacle course. It's never been, and isn't probably intended to be, a completely smooth path with no obstacles in your way. That would be too easy. Your soul would get bored of that. Believe you me, it actually would get bored of that. That's not what it signed up for when it came to planet Earth, which is a planet of teaching, learning, growing, and evolving. And like the diamond that has to be formed through pressure, so too do us, do we. So in yesterday's video, I was talking about this ring of fire. I was shown the analogy by Metatron of, and this is a really random one. This is one of my best, most random analogies, probably you'll ever hear me say. But what I was being shown was a friend of mine from years ago who does dog agility. Okay, he does dog agility. If you don't know what dog agility is, it's basically playtime for your dogs. They go through an obstacle course, they jump through hoops, they do all sorts of things. The dogs love it, and it's good exercise, and hopefully it's playtime type energy. Anyway, I was being shown these dogs jumping through the hoops, having a whale of a time, enjoying the whole experience. And it was as though we have to approach these rings of fire in our world a bit like the dog that has the wagging tail at all time. Bella actually did once win a little medal for the waggiest dog tail ever. She's got the waggiest dog tail ever award from this show she went to. But it's also because, like Labradors always are, they're just full of love. They're bundles of love and joy and the energy of unconditional love. You've got to be like the dog. You've got to have this energy of unconditional love and joy, and try to approach what others are seeing as the obstacles in our path as actually things that are there to help us hone our skills, to become more agile and flexible, to help us develop basically, and to keep us spiritually and mentally and physically fit. So that's the first thing that I saw with that card. But yeah, we've got the Queen of Fire appearing for Aries Full Moon. I also feel as though, and I'll include myself in this, that I think you're going to see many women standing up and speaking their truth, holding that energy of the Queen of Fire and not backing down from it and not apologising for it, but equally speaking with fire, but from a heart-centred place. Notice where the fire and the flame is over this expression of the divine feminine. It's right in her heart. It's as though our hearts are set alight in a way, because we realise that there is a new threat in town, this artificial heart consciousness, which I'll come back to. And it's like, not on my watch, okay, not on my watch are we going to allow a spread of this around our world. And we are going to highlight for people what this other energy is in town. Let me just show you the cards that particularly brought this into being yesterday. I did do a little video on Facebook and Instagram, but I'll bring you up to speed if you didn't see them. I was basically asking about this other energy that I could feel, not just yesterday, I'd felt it all week as the week sort of, turned the page and we're in the run up to this Aries full moon. I could just feel this other energy, couldn't quite put a handle on what it was. I was identifying it as being like a trickster energy. It's like a trickster energy in town. And I pulled some cards in terms of show me what this trickster energy is. And the card that came out, which is from the Dark Mirror deck, is this one. And it actually says artificial heart. And we have somebody there, some being there, I would say, that is robotic, partly human, partly not, artificial, basically. So the energy of the artificial heart. And then the other card that came up was this one, which was the colourless angel. So, if you've been tuned into my work for a while, you'll know that what we talk about on this channel is many things, but there are some big themes that we come back to time and time again. One of them is colours, okay, because ultimately I'm a colour therapist. That's what got me onto my whole pathway and has always brought joy to my heart. And, the colours of our world are to be celebrated. The seasons are changing. The colours of autumn, the colours of spring, they are amazing to just behold. But this is the colourless angel. This is the angel that's had all of the colour taken out of it, the life force taken out of it, the soul taken out of it. When you put it together with the energy of artificial heart, you'll see what is in town, which is the complete opposite energy of this, which is not just divine feminine energy, but also divine masculine energy that is in its heart, that is full of colour, full of life, full of soul, full of divinity, full of love. So I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment. But let me I want to just carry on with the other cards for now, just so I don't lose my track in terms of what I want to talk about in this video. So Queen of Fire. The next card that came out was this one, and I wanted to talk about grace under pressure. I woke up on Monday and I kept hearing that phrase, grace under pressure. And it feels as though we are being tested, you know, the hoops that we're being asked to jump through. And, you know, again, it's this thing about if we can maintain an energy of grace, despite what is going on around us, despite what might be being done to us, despite what might be being done to others, it's about holding the energy of grace, which is actually a pretty difficult thing to do. But it is part of the Christ-centered teachings. I'm going to read you a little bit from my own book in a moment, which I need to grab. It's over there. But for now, let's look at this card. This card says, the vortex of boundless grace. It shows a doorway, a portal. And I'm being told that this portal and this doorway is always open. It always was open. And within it is the energy of grace, which also includes the energy of blessings. But I also want to say that there's an awful lot of light phenomena here within that doorway. It feels as though Spirit wants to make itself seen, heard, and felt at this time. You might be picking up phenomena on camera, whether it be angel orbs. You might be seeing light phenomena in the sky. You know, it's the way that the universe and God talks to you is via the energy of light. It's certainly also the way that another being that I often channel, Commander Ashtar, talks. And I'm going to bring Ashtar's energy into this video as well, because for me, one of the signs that Ashtar is around is I'm looking up, because I always look up to the skies, and it's the quality of the light that is in the sky that often will tell me that Ashtar is near. Not necessarily in terms of seeing a ship, seeing an alien, you know, or he doesn't like me calling them aliens, star being in front of me. It's to do with the quality of light, the platinum coloured light in particular, that I see in the sky. And you often see it even on a cloudy day. In fact, cloudy days can bring it out. But anyway, I'm really just saying that Spirit is with us. Spirit is trying to help us model grace in our life, in what is a graceless world at the moment. Or powers that were would like us to believe that it is a graceless world. If you wake up every day and you look at the newspaper or you turn on the news, you will be programmed to think that everybody out there is full of hate, aggression, certainly not grace. So many awful things happening in our world, and we absolutely can't turn away from them. But equally, we also have to look for the beauty and the joy and the grace that is in people. But you often find it in unexpected places and unexpected ways. It can be the homeless person that you walk by that actually is able to show you grace. It can be anything, but I'm being told it's often in unexpected ways that we find grace and that we are given grace. So the card from the Christ Consciousness deck of grace is this one, with the honeycomb and the bee and the white flower. We liked it so much that we made it the back cover for all of the 55 cards of the Christ Consciousness deck. So it's repeated 55 times. And it talks about the energy of blessings and goodwill. And I'm just going to find the book, which is literally over here. Hold on. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's here. I was thinking, what have I done with it? Okay, I'd just like to read you, I'm not going to read you the whole passage, but I'd like to read you maybe the first 2 paragraphs of channeled writing that I brought through with regards to the energy of grace, because we're being asked to, grace under pressure is basically saying it says it all. These are pressured times. It's going to carry on being pressured. We have to have grace under pressure. So here we go. Ready? Grace is both a blessing and a gift that is offered to you now, to feel and experience God's love. It is given simply because he loves you, with no expectation other than to anoint you with it. In addition, this card also asks that as a divine being, you both hold and offer grace, becoming a torchbearer that brings light to the darkness, both in yourself and others. This is mastery in action. And we can emulate the example of Jesus, noticing that all who were in his presence were graced by his gentleness, his serenity, calmness, love, and peace. His proficiency in personifying grace stopped people in their tracks, made them change course, and made them want to be better human beings, turning away from ego and towards their divine spirit. Managing your responsibilities and your tasks with grace also elevates everyday life to be a display of God's work in action, affecting everyone that you meet in interconnected ways. By doing so, you rise above the ordinary and ride the wave of the extraordinary, gliding with ease as the bee does in nature, knowing that nectar is available in each flower and each moment. There's more there. If you've got the deck and the book, you can read it for yourself. But I like that the wording that grace helps us to rise above the ordinary and to ride the wave of the extraordinary, to be able to offer grace when others are not bestowing it upon us. And that's a difficult one. Most of us fail at that from time to time, but at least we should have the goal in mind. One thing I mentioned in yesterday's video was the fact that on Monday, I just had one of those days. You know, we all get them, don't we, where everything that could go wrong went wrong. Mostly personal stuff, just blips and lots of hoops to jump through. And I was doing quite well. I was jumping through the hoops and staying quite calm until the last hoop of the day, you know? And that was the thing that broke the camel's back, as they say. And I just lost it, temporarily lost it, and had a bit of a screaming ab-jabs moment, as I always call it. Screaming like a banshee, I think I called it in yesterday's video. And then I apologised. I say it was just to my family. I don't know what I mean by that. It wasn't good that it was to them either. But I'm just owning it, that I had a fall from grace. There were reasons for my little outburst. And in some ways, maybe better out than in. But anyway, the point was, why I'm sharing this with you, is that it also brought me back to this topic of grace. Because when we don't behave in a way that ideally we would like to all of the time, we should learn from it. We should grow from it. We should notice it. Because to be perfectly honest, other people who aren't even on the spiritual path or even trying, they wouldn't have even given it the time of day. That would be their normal, to be behaving in that way. Ranting and raving, or, you know, however it is, however you are when you lose it. So we learn from it and we turn once again, like the sunflower, to the light, to love, to our own higher self, to guidance. And we try again to step into grace. Also, we should allow ourselves some slack sometimes when we're doing our best, but our best isn't good enough, or there's a perceived energy that it isn't good enough. That probably comes from you more than others. If you're living a godly life, you're not living a life where you're trying to deliberately hurt anybody or go out of your way to say something unpleasant. But we all have our limits, don't we? And this Aries full moon, I'm sharing this because I feel as though there might be days like that. There might be moments like that. I had mine right at the start of the week, and now I'm able to sort of trek towards the moon itself. Having learnt from that whole experience, you might have yours on the day of the moon or afterwards, I don't know. But just be aware of that as well. So anyway, the energy of grace. We also have this beautiful card which shows the moon itself. And it says, soulful surrender. Soulful surrender. We have the 2 yellow butterflies which match my cardigan. Card number 15. 1 and 5 making 6. 6 linked to the planet Venus, the planet of love. But there we have our full moon. So we have to surrender, but it's a soulful surrender. Final card here is this one. It says detours from the divine. Detours from the divine. And this is going to lead me now into more of a discussion about this artificial heart energy. What it is, what we can do to counteract it, how we can answer it, basically. And I'm going to bring in the energy of both Ashtar and Metatron. Maybe more, I'm not sure at this moment in time, but those 2 guides in particular, and Jesus, actually, of course, Jesus. You see, the Jesus energy to me is just so much of a back template of who I am that I sometimes forget to include him, even though I've done the deck, the Christ Consciousness deck, because he's just always here. So apologies, Jesus as well. Jesus, Metatron and Ashtar. So let's just regroup and let's think about this energy of artificial heart. Let's put the cards back up. Artificial heart and colourless angel. I think actually, just have a quick look in the book as well about this artificial heart, what it says about it here. Card number 12. Okay. If I don't feel the warmth of the sun, will I blame the sun or myself? A female figure, an android or a robot with cyber lines travelling over the skin, like gentle spiders. A black choker of feminine servitude and jade eyes of futuristic indifference. Oh my God, guys. Those 2 words, futuristic indifference. Once upon a time, it was a time of flying monkeys. Someone journeyed to a place that wasn't Kansas in order to gain a heart. Oh, such a charming old-fashioned fairy tale. A new heart can be brought on the internet now and be delivered in a couple of days with a brand new shiny instruction manual. It works too. It gets the job done. It's not a job of feelings, it's scripted. Like a job of numbers. Actually, it feels like a trade-off. We find refuge in the rational mind, which in turn gives us back the illusion of control. But we still feel, we still long to live through our emotions. Okay, yeah, you see, what am I trying to say here? I feel as though this has been going on for a long time. This is the dumbing down of society. What were those words about indifference? They were powerful. Futuristic indifference. You see, we have to look at this to be able to counteract it. Once something is out in the open, you know how to deal with it. You know what you're dealing with. There is an energy in town that wants us to be indifferent, to care less and less about each other, that you don't really matter, that your country doesn't really matter, that what you care about doesn't really matter, doesn't affect me, doesn't affect my life. Why should I care? Futuristic indifference in terms of how we leave this planet for the next generation. The need to be right rather than the need to fix it. We see much of this. We see the escalation of this in our world. People glued to their phones, people glued to an artificial world. We're all sort of guilty of it, and I think we need to own our part in it so that we are not watering seeds that are there that we don't want to pollinate and grow. Think about the analogy of a musical concert. Think about going to see your absolute favourite band or singer and the complete joy in your heart at the prospect of that day arriving. And you get there and you're excited and you know all the songs and you're with the crowd and then they come on and it's just this beautiful explosion of love and all the rest of it. But then you don't actually really watch it. You don't really even listen to what's going on because all you're actually trying to do is record it on this. You're not present. You're not present. You're not in your heart. You're not. You're trying to save it onto a particular device to watch at another time, but you never will watch it again. It's just stored in a little place, a little pocket. Whereas actually, the pocket that wanted to keep it was right here in your heart. So many examples of shallowness and things that don't really matter, things that don't nourish our heart, things that make us over time become like this colourless angel. We don't want that for ourselves, do we? We don't want that for our world. I said yesterday that I felt that this energy, what was behind it, felt, I said galactic in nature, but also there's a degree of AI here as well. But somebody said to me yesterday, oh yeah, but you know, humans are the ones that program the AI. Yeah, that's right. But equally, our advances in technology, including AI, will have been seeded from someplace else, just as we were seeded from someplace else. Do you not think that the galactics have stepped in and helped us enormously with regards to advances in technology? Much of it to the betterment of society. But the galactics, like the angelics, like the elementals, like the human race, like any particular species of being, has within it, for want of a better word, the good guys and the bad guys. So the question is, what is driving a lot of the AI that we are now experiencing in our world? Is it helping to nourish our hearts? Or is it satisfying our mind and our ego, which is that I'll do it quicker for you. I'll do it better for you. I'll just do it for you. Just give it here. I'll do it here. I'll do it for you. Whereas the heart is coming from a much different place. I'm being shown the analogy of a garden now. It's like the heart wants things to be seeded and grown and watered, and for, yes, the nourishment and the hard work to be appreciated. I'm not one of these people that thinks all of AI is bad. That's not what I'm saying. But I do feel as though we are sleepwalking into an era where we're losing the human touch. Think about it in terms of your shops and your supermarkets. You know, somebody like myself who's got, you know, older parents, you see it in particular there, that might be their only interaction that week. I'm not talking about my mum here, but just generally older people going out to the supermarket, having the little chat with the person on the checkout. You're not allowed to do that anymore, not in this soulless, colourless world. You go to a machine, and if you can't operate the machine, if you're lucky, somebody comes and helps you. But really, it's the machines that are running the show now. We don't want you to have human interaction. There's not enough time for the little old lady in front of you to do, you know, to pack her goods because we're in a hurry. It's becoming colourless. It's becoming soulless. We're losing our connection with each other, and we're losing our connection with God. We have to reverse this. And the way that we reverse it is via our heart. But we have to also see that there is this artificial heart energy in town. And it's in some people, and it's in some beings, and it's absolutely in some machines. Let me bring Ashtar in at this point. I also want to say something which is very important guidance in terms of we need to be shielding our senses. But let me come to that in a moment. Let's just bring Ashtar in. Okay, so let's put my feet down on the ground. This war, this battle between machine and man was started a long time ago, in a different place, in a different galaxy, in a different realm. The predicament that humanity finds itself in now, in terms of whether they become slaves to the machine or whether they use the machine to better themselves and the world around them for all, is a story that has already been ongoing for some time across many galaxies. I'm being shown different places that we have lived and been, different civilizations where we have inhabited, where we've had this battle before. We've had this battle before. It's really interesting. It's as though what we deem as futuristic, this futuristic view of the world, you know, the machines, the robots helping us. Did you see the thing in, I think it was New York, wasn't it? They've got robots, some robots or something that are operating in the subway. And it was presented as, look at this, isn't this amazing? Look at these little robots. They, you know, but it just feels like what's been presented as like futuristic. It really isn't. It's as though we're just repeating, we're potentially going to repeat a mistake of the past. And it can be stopped if enough of us wake up to the deadness, the soullessness within much of what we are being served up as exciting, new wave, the new way. Because what drives it is economics, money. It's very 3D. It's not operating from a place of love. In most cases, there are some exceptions, I'm being shown the example of AI in detecting disease. This is an interesting area because I believe that there are advancements where, for example, if you go for a breast screening as a woman against breast cancer, I believe there's some sort of machine now, or there will be soon, whereby it can detect changes to the cells within the breast, which usually a specialist looking at the mammogram would be able to see. So in that scenario, that can be a good thing, can it not? It cuts the lists, all of that. Question is, can the machines make a mistake? I don't know. I'm not saying they will. But I'm being shown now the example of, I'm back to a dog again. Have you ever been around a dog that is able to sense when somebody is ill? They go and, or a cat, they go and sit beside the person. There are dogs that can smell cancer. They know when someone's ill. And why is that? It's because animals, cats, dogs, they have this purity of heart. They have the energy of unconditional love. Maybe from a violet pill perspective, the answer is somewhere in the middle of all of this. That we need the doctor with the good heart to be able to diagnose, just as much as we need the machine to also help. But when it tips into it just being the machines, we run into problems, because who's programming the machines and for what purpose? Ashtar is saying that in other civilizations, in other places, that battle, that dilemma wasn't won by the light. So this is an interesting time on planet Earth, he's saying, because more of you are back now, and I'd include us in that have a remembrance of this. That's why you're uncomfortable with it. You need to be the ones that sound the warning bells. But more than anything, you need to be the ones that remember your innate heart consciousness. I'm being shown by Metatron now the analogy of a mother who goes to a doctor with her child that's not well, and the doctor says, he's fine, she's fine, you know, they'll be fine in a few days. But the mother knows that the child is not okay, and goes for the second opinion, or the third opinion, or the fourth opinion, until it's confirmed, actually, yeah, there's something here that wasn't picked up. You're right. She had an inbuilt sense of intuition and knowingness, and it came from the heart. You see, Metatron is asking us to shield our senses, because although the heart has a brain, and yes, I'll repeat that, the heart does have a brain. The heart has brain cells. The heart is always talked about as being all-knowing. There is a deep well of information and wisdom there within it. But we also know that our heart-centered energy, our essence, our soul, our spirit, it also sits within a body that is, for most of us, flawed. Most of us haven't got bodies that aren't a little bit wonky or have something wrong with them. Even the most healthy amongst us, sometimes there's still a few little cracks here and there. And as you get older, that's a normal part of life as well. The physical heart gets attacked. The energetic heart remains complete and whole, but it can be knocked. It can, the analogy Metatron gave me yesterday was of a jelly. That the collective heart at the moment is a bit like this wobbly jelly. And the thing about jellies is that they're malleable and you can mold them into different shapes. And especially when we've got this energy of detours from the divine, distractions, things that are deliberately put in our place to trip us up. So how do we shield the heart? It's really interesting what I was shown today by Metatron. It's never anything that I've considered before, and the information came to me via colours. Walked into my room and I saw these two colours really jumping out at me. This is the silver crown chakra spray. This is the Tanzanite third eye spray. But more than anything, over and above the fact that they're chakra sprays, it was the colours. I was intrigued as to why was I wanting to put silver together with this energy, which is third eye. What was it about the silver that was needed around the third eye? And then I received the next part of the information, which was that the heart is affected by our senses. Think about it. How does your heart receive messages? Via your eyes, via your ears in terms of what you hear, via your taste, via smell, via what you feel. The heart responds to stimuli, and also it has within it codes, past codes, present codes, and future codes. So what I mean by this is, think about the energy of smell. Think about a beautiful smell like roses or whatever it is that you appreciate as a beautiful smell. And you smell it, and the pathways don't just go up your nostrils in terms of, oh, this smells nice. It registers in your heart. Your heart goes, ah, isn't that lovely? And also it may very well remember a past memory of you being in, I don't know, a childhood garden, being in a rose garden. All of the little neural pathways fire off each other, not just within the mind, but within the heart as well. I remember this and it feels good. Think about something you see with your eyes, somebody you really love, and you see them again, and there's the expression, my heart just melts. That's what people say, isn't it? My heart melts every time I see you. Or you see a little baby or your own child, my heart melts. So if our heart is reacting to what we're seeing, to what we're smelling, to what we're hearing, think about music. A piece of music that literally stirs your heart. Again, another expression. It stirs my heart. It does. You hear it, it goes into the ears, it travels to your heart. But we're in this really weird, energetic, soupy energy right now. And everything is not as it looks as though it is. You can have wolves in sheep's clothing. You can have somebody that appears to be very good, and your eyes see them, and it's like, oh, lovely. My heart melts. It doesn't just have to be in terms of love. I mean, it can be like trickster energies, fraudsters, whatever, people who aren't actually what they appear to be. Think about all of the scams, all of the online scams. Well, they look lovely. My heart melts. Oh, all of that, it's all an illusion, it's all distortion, it's all a lie. Your heart is deceived. In the same way with music, there are often hidden meanings in what you're listening to. There are hidden frequencies. Now, I don't know whether this is correct, but I will just bring it up because I don't know in what other video I would ever bring it up. Let me just find it. This was something that somebody said about the frequencies of music and how they had changed. It had been changed over the years. So again, don't quote me on this. I might be wrong, but I'm still going to say it anyway because it leads to a discussion on frequencies of music. This was just something I screenshotted. I saw on Facebook or something. So it says, in 1953, a worldwide agreement was made based on the idea by the Rockefeller Foundation to change the frequency of music. They changed it from its natural harmonic resonance, 432 Hertz, to the current consciousness suppressing 440 Hertz. So those of you that know a bit about music, you can maybe comment on that. It says here, Jimi Hendrix, along with John Lennon, Bob Marley and Prince. I'm sure there are others. Interesting, they're all Heart Squad. Jimi Hendrix I haven't done yet, but I'd like to. It says they all tuned their music to a specific frequency of 432 hertz. It's known as the beat of the earth, and it has substantial healing benefits. And ancient Egyptian and Greek instruments were discovered tuned to 432 hertz. Again, however, since 1953, all music has been tuned to 440 hertz. This frequency has no scientific relationship with our universe, and it actually causes the brain to become agitated. The Nazis in World War II used this frequency against their enemies to make them feel and think in a certain way. Now, as I say, that is just something I've screenshotted off Facebook. There might be inaccuracies in that, but it's just another example of what I'm talking about. You hear something, well, I think it feels okay, but your heart might be registering it differently. So, back to the silver and the colours. What I feel we're being asked to do is, I've often suggested to you, and I know many of you do, that you wear the armour of God. Okay, so we're used to putting our armour of God on in the morning, which is, trusty little pocket reminder, we sell these by the way, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, and feet that walk in peace. What I'm going to suggest you experiment with and try, and please report back to me, is to work with two different colours. Silver and pink is what I'm being shown. Now, silver is a filter, okay? It's a filter. It's like the sieve. So what you do is you imagine that you've got a, I don't want to call it a shield of silver because we don't want to shield off the senses. We're just putting a filter in front of them, literally like a sieve, okay? So what a sieve does is it allows in what you want allowed in, positive, beautiful, life-affirming frequencies and vibrations, but it keeps out the more dreggy stuff, okay, the stuff that you don't want. So that's always been the job of the silver spray for the crown chakra. So you imagine silver, you can use the silver spray, it's a crown chakra spray. So it's you spray it above your head, and what it's doing is when you spray it, you're then imagining that it's just also putting a little bit of a filter around your ears, around your eyes, particularly around your eyes, around your throat, around your mouth, and then around the whole body. It's protecting the senses. So, but I also feel as though I'd like to put some pink with it. And the pink is the energy of the heart, the pink lotus. And the reason I want to put pink with silver is that we're trying to counteract this very sort of this energy, this very colourless, artificial, robotic energy. And silver by nature, I always think robots and stuff like that. So I want to soften the silver with a bit of pink. So it's just what I'm feeling drawn to do. So silver and pink together feel perfect because they are helping us to allow in the loving frequencies, but keep out that which is not of love, is not of love. You see, I'm drawn to this card from the Christ Consciousness deck. It says, what would love do? Let's come back to that in a moment, actually. So, yeah, am I making myself clear in terms of what that instruction is with regards to using silver? I would probably put pink with it as well, but you don't have to. But silver is the main one. And you're just asking that your senses there's a filter in place. In the same way that you can't go around, like with your fingers in your ears, like I'm not hearing anything I don't want to hear. That's not what I'm suggesting. It's more that we're living in a world where you are going to hear discordant stuff. You're going to hear people arguing and this person being unpleasant and somebody else has said something horrible there. But you don't let it go into your heart. You don't take it into you. That's what I'm really trying to say. It's filtering it out at that level, okay? In the same way that if you hear gossip or negative, horrible energy that people are spreading about others, you don't pass it on, okay? You hear it, but then there's like this you don't pass it on. and you don't take it into your heart in that way. Okay, so we've done shield your senses. How else can we answer this sort of artificial heart energy that is in town at the moment? Ashtar's saying, by remembering that this is one of the reasons why we came, by remembering your heritage. I've got them all here. Sorry, they're all sort of speaking at once. I've also got the energy of Jesus because it's got the Essene energy. Remembering that you've always honoured your heart. This is Jesus. You've always honoured your heart. It's like a calling, a clarion call to the Essene tribe. I don't think I need to say any more on that. It's these two energies. It's the Christ consciousness energies. This is from the Christ consciousness deck. It's what would love do in every situation? What would love do? Am I going to become the soulless person that's lost complete touch with their divinity, that just walks on by, that doesn't care? No, we're not going to be doing that. We'll be answering it with love and love again. And this card is living from the heart. We're living from the heart. That's how we counteract this stuff. But equally, are we doing things to nourish our own heart? And in particular, I don't know, there's so many examples, aren't there? But obvious ones such as getting into nature, being with animals, because animals have this beautiful energy of unconditional love, and also power. Music I've talked about, being around people who are positive and empowering, not people that are bitchy and manipulative and just into projecting the whole time. People that are living from the heart. Okay. I've written down here in front of me that every act, every thought, every deed that we do either contributes to, there are two worlds. It's like we've got two worlds in one world, two realities in one world. We have this soulless, robotic world. We have this beautiful, divine, heart-centered world. Which one are you feeding? And you feed either of them via your deeds, your thoughts, your actions. We've got to be very, very mindful during these days. Okay, just looking at the time. It's coming up for an hour. Let's see if there's anything else to say. Let's just bring Metatron in. Oh, I did want to bring a crystal in, especially for this full moon in Aries. Red Jasper. Red Jasper is a stone of movement and energy. It's obviously red, so it's energetic. But again, it helps us to ground and to root, and it's also very protective. It's a very protective energy. And it feels as though that is a good one to carry at this time. Red Jasper. So I'm going to give you Red Jasper. Let's pull a few more cards then and see if we get any other messages. Oh, I was going to do Metatron first, wasn't I? Let's just do Metatron, see if there's anything else. Before I pull cards. Archangel Metatron, Aries Full Moon. This whole subject of artificial heart energy, divine heart energy. Okay, he's showing me two armies effectively. These are, for want of a better word, spiritual armies. And one army is like, it's like the robotic soulless energy we've been talking about. Okay, and the other army is made up of the angels of light, the beings of light. And what he's showing me is there is more of them than there is the more negative army, as it were. So it's a message to say that there's more of us than them. It's just that you've got to remember what camp you're in, basically. That you're here to fight for the light. You're here to truly embody heart-centered awakening. And you can and you will, and you have been, and you will continue to do so. Okay, let's pull a couple of cards. I've got this deck that I've never used before. It's called the Steampunk Tarot. I know quite a lot of readers use it. To be honest, I was going to give it away. It wasn't really resonating with me, but I'm just going to pull a couple of cards today and then I might give it away. I don't know. But the reason I bought this was that on the deck it says the Steampunk Tarot, Wisdom from the Gods of the Machine. Now, I'm sure it's about all sorts of things, this deck, but I bought this because I thought it would be a good way to tap into this sort of AI world. Can I just pause the camera? My daughter's ringing. Hold on. I'm back. She's fine. Right. Yeah, so let's pull a couple of cards from this Steampunk Tarot then, and let's ask about this energy a little bit more. Let's ask about this artificial heart energy. Anything else to say, please? 5 cards from this deck I'm hearing. This could be difficult to do because I've never even seen any of the pictures, so you have to kind of bear with me a little bit. Let's just see what we get. Let's just tune into this other energy in town. And Metatron's saying it's difficult for you because you are not it. And he's saying you never actually have been it in any other lifetime either. So it's literally like trying to decipher a foreign language that you've never heard before. It doesn't resonate with you any more than you resonate with it. We have the 4 of Engines. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see the card because the image is quite small actually. They're quite small little cards. It shows a whole load of people. Looks like they're either about to board a train. That's what it's showing me. 4 of Engines. I guess that's the 4 of Pentacles. See what else we get with it. I might struggle to read this deck, I have to be honest. 4 of Engines, 4 of Pentacles. Let's just see what I get. Okay, I'm just going to have to do it intuitively. So on this card, there's a whole load of people that are have been called to go somewhere. It feels as though they're either about to get on the train or they're getting off the train. But I'm drawn to this shadowy figure here in the dark who feels like a puppet master, who is overseeing the whole operation. It doesn't feel as though he's part of this group though. It feels as though he is the director. And he's just making sure that things go according to plan. I'm hearing that the wheels don't come off the plan, okay? That the wheels don't come off the plan. It's interesting as well that this card, the 4 of Engines, the people coming off the train or getting on the train, they look as though they're from all sorts of different corners of the earth. They're all sorts of different types of people. They're all sorts of different types of profession. It's as though they are well infiltrated. They've infiltrated well into mainstream society, that there are people amongst us who are not as we are. It's as simple as that. I'm not even going to say what the case was that I heard about yesterday. It was so revoltingly repugnant. It was front page news here on some newspapers, so I didn't go searching for it. It was there. In fact, it was about animals, so it was an awful case of animal abuse. But the point was, I think it was so repugnant. It was front page news, and then I saw it just quickly got removed from the top of the front page, and it was appearing much further down. It's like it was so gross, people didn't even want to look at it. Why am I mentioning that? I don't know why I'm mentioning that. Sorry. Is that a distraction? Is that a... Oh, okay. It is because this person who did this terrible deed appeared to be an upstanding member of society. Sorry, that's why I was talking about it. And you wouldn't know, looking at this person, the perversions and the what was in his mind. And look at what's on the bottom of the deck, cyborg, because anybody that has any type of heart-centered consciousness would not be able to even entertain the type of things that were done by this person. And is he even a person? I mean, that's a big sweeping statement because he probably is, but has he got an artificial heart? He would have to have an artificial heart to be able to have done the things he had done. You see, sometimes we just think, well, people are just broken and they had bad upbringings and, you know, it's made them as they are. That's true as well. But I feel as though this is saying there are people amongst us that are subhuman, basically. Because look at this card. It's like when you take the mask off the face, it's not human. It's not human. Anybody with any humanity or any heart would not be able to behave like that. Wouldn't even be able to think about it. I think that's why people couldn't even read the article. I couldn't read the article. I thought, I can't actually go there. I can usually go into most places. I can't even go there. I can't look at that. But equally, it's because it's what Metatron was just talking about. It's like that the whole that world is not your world. You've never been that. Thank God. Let's have another couple of cards, please. Anything else to say? Artificial heart energy. Going forward, artificial heart energy. It wants to triumph. That's the card of triumph. It wants to just keep pushing on. Please bear with me. Don't switch off because it's getting a little bit dark. It'll be okay. We need to face this. Is the card of triumph, number 7 in the major arcana, is that also the strength card in a normal tarot deck? Where's the book? Have I got that right? Is 7? Don't know. I'm not going to read all the it's got pages and pages of stuff. I'm just going to say what I've just said. Okay, right. So what else? Artificial heart consciousness. Why are we being asked to look at this now? Because you have to, is what Metatron is saying. Card number 1, which is the Magician. I think I'm finding this deck quite hard to read, to be honest, so I'm not going to lie. Let's just go on what I can see here. This looks like the Wizard of Oz, okay? But this isn't like a friendly old man behind the curtain. This is some sort of energy that I don't like the look of, who is in control of the machine. Don't like the look of that. Who made this deck? John and Caitlin Matthews. I'm not dissing the deck. I've chosen this deck for a specific purpose. So, and the 8 of airships, which would be, well, it's moving away. Is it 8 of swords? Is that meant to be? It's double Dutch. I'm not sure what it's trying to say. I'm going to keep this bit in the video. I just want to read what this card number 1 is, the technomancer. What's that all about? The technomancer is a conduit for elemental power. Like Prothemus, he brings fire from heaven and is the master of technology. His power is the bright spark at the heart of all creation, making him a primary god of the machine, the dynamo of its power. His mask protects his face from its sudden flare. The immense power that flows through him is channeled into engines of ingenious design, but the vast forces he invokes can overthrow him if he gets out of balance. Mind is his natural medium. The capacity to hold and remember is held in the massive library of his brain. Knowledge that synaptically bridges all kinds of possibilities. His whole purpose is the mind's evolution, hinted at here by the ape doctor. It's all about the mind. There's no mention of the heart. Okay. Yeah, well, let's pull some cards to counteract that energy. I'm going to go to the Psychic Tarot of the Heart by John Holland, and I'm going to ask about going forward, if enough of us stay in the heart energy. Going forward, if enough of us stay in the heart energy, please. Show me 3 cards. Going forward, if enough of us stay in our heart energy, please. We have the third eye chakra has just come up. So it's important to keep the... You see, I showed you that earlier, didn't I? There's something here about our eyes are going to be... Our eyes are being tricked. What we see is not the truth in these days. Got to keep your third eye chakra very shielded, purified, open to seeing the divine in everything as well. We have reach out. So enough of us stay in our heart. We have teach on the bottom of the deck. Lead. Not really being just shown, I'm just being shown teach, lead. But this is also all of us, okay? Just lead from your heart. Teach from your heart. Reach out to those in need. Reach out to each other. Love each other as I have loved you. Jesus. And the third eye chakra is definitely wanting us to talk about it today. Let's just spray the Tanzanite third eye spray. Tanzanite third eye spray. And let's just feel that energy at your third eye. Beautiful Tanzanite. I'm being shown windscreen wipers on the third eye. Okay, so Metatron is saying, excuse me, it's like we're going through this stormy time in our world now. We can't see the wood for the trees. We can't see who's real and who's not. We can't see who's operating from the heart and who's not. Okay, it's like we've got all these flashlights and headlights coming at us. It's like the windscreen wipers. It's like the divine will keep this clear. There's definitely maintenance on the third eye to be done on a regular basis. We've got to keep our wits about us, but we'll be all right. But that's the analogy I'm being given. You know, when you're driving through a rainstorm and it gets really, really heavy, and there's all these, you know, energies coming in, because this is an analogy, the rainstorm. But then it goes, the wipers go on to full speed, and it's like, duh, 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 duh. That's where we're at, guys. That is where we're at. Okay, let's just go into our heart energy, see if there's anything else to say about our heart energy. Remember all of the lifetimes I'm being told that you have stayed in your heart, that you've been true to your heart. This isn't your first rodeo, okay? It's not my first rodeo, it's not your first rodeo. We've done this before, but this time we came here to win this battle, okay? Now we can see what we are dealing with in our midst, which is this sort of soulless, artificial energy, which is much more prevalent than we think and has infiltrated much more into society than we think. We answer it with our heart. Is that enough? Yes, I'm hearing yes, it is. I'm going to end with a comment that came in on Instagram yesterday from one of you. Screenshotted it because you always help me piece it all together. Thank you very much. So this is a Star Trek reference. It says, this person's because I was talking about the trickster energy yesterday in town, and somebody said, okay, thank you for your video. I asked about the strange energy today too. And I was guided to see an old episode of Star Trek. The episode was about an AI woman who couldn't feel love. She didn't know what love is, but had the urge to learn to feel it. Long story short, she finally learned what love is, but she couldn't comprehend the love and couldn't stay in this high energy of love, and she died. I truly feel the absence of love in these times, but it's not for me or for any of us. Love is the only answer there is. So there's this thing about, if we keep raising the vibration and the frequency, if you believe in, for example, 100 monkey syndrome, which is that if enough of us get it, there's a tipping point, that has to also affect energies, which even energies that have an artificial heart. And then they will try to move towards that frequency of love. But the Star Trek analogy is that ultimately they can't do it because they don't necessarily have the equipment. They haven't been programmed that way. They don't come from God. And so ultimately they die. Maybe that's how the battle ends. Interesting old subject, isn't it? So we're going to end with a card from the Christ deck. And then I'm going to love and leave you. Get this uploaded. And most important thing is to have no fear during these times. Just to stay in your heart, as you have done before. But this time there's more of us that have incarnated on this planet at this time. There's more of us. We win this one. We have the energy of the child, purity. And we've also got the teacher card on the bottom of the deck. And we've also got the card of spiritual practice. Let me just talk a little bit about these. So this is the energy of stay childlike in terms of your innocence, your purity. Keep your heart pure. Be around children as well. Children open up our hearts. Be around animals. They open up our hearts. Be around this beautiful yellow frequency. That helps to dispel your fear and it puts you into your power. We have the energy of the teacher. Who is the teacher? Here it's the energy of Jesus, but it can be other ascended beings as well. Turn to the teachings of the teacher. And it also says walk the talk. This is the card of walk the talk. It's not enough just to read the books. It's not enough just to do the courses. It's not just enough to say, you know, love and light. You have to be it. You have to be it. You have to do it. And the other thing you need to do is spiritual practice. So spiritual practice is a whole big subject and it can include many different things. You need to find what works for you. But here with, for example, it says structure and routine. So part of the heart consciousness winning on this planet is about us having structure and routine and taking seriously our spiritual lives, not relegating them just to one day a week, not relegating them to like, I've got 5 minutes here, I'll say a quick prayer. You know, it's what this card said, it's walking the talk every moment of the day, making your whole life a spiritual practice. Okay, that's the goal. But build that in as much as you can from time to time. Take time for prayer, take time for silence, take time for nature, take time to nourish your heart, whatever that means. Flowers as well raise the frequency of our planet. Colours raise the frequency of our planet. Crystals raise the frequency of our planet. The elements raise the frequency of our planet. But also there's many white feathers falling down in this picture, which is also the reminder that we are not alone. We're not doing this alone. We have Metatron with us. We have the Archangels with us. We have Jesus with us. We have Ashtar with us. We have so many beings of light with us, and we have each other. Okay, so take care, do not fear, stay in your heart, all will be well. And this is quite a moving card as well. I'll just show you this because I hadn't mentioned this. It says be peaceful among thorns, peaceful among thorns. So, you know, whatever the thorns are, whatever the energies are that are out there which are not particularly pleasant, be that peaceful place. Be the quiet, still eye of the storm, and we will get through it. Okay, hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. Please like and share. Appreciate your support. Make sure you're also subscribed to my channel. Some people are getting unsubscribed because that's how machines work. They don't like heart-centered information getting out there. So let's counteract it with action and love and light. Bye-bye for now.